Welcome to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. I'm Sharon, your resident skeptic who asks all the tough questions. And with me is Jennifer Neal, our manifesting maestro. Whether you're rolling your eyes or raising your vibration, we dive into all things manifestation, mindset, and energy from every side. Hit subscribe, settle in, and get ready for spirited debates, surprising experiments, and laughter on the journey to creating a life you love. Welcome to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. I'm Sharon, the skeptic, and with me is the quantum leaping queen herself, Jennifer. Jen, we're going to talk about quantum leaping today, which
Yeah,
honestly reminds me of that show. I guess it was in the 80s or the 90s called Quantum Leap. So tell us how what we're going to talk about today is different from that show.
I can't remember that show. Just remind me. What was it?
Uh, uh what was that guy's name? Bacco? Scott Bacco?
Oh, yeah, the guy from Fonzie?
No, that's Scott Baio.
Oh,
Hey, let me
you can tell
find
how
it.
old we are.
He eventually played I think Captain Kirk on Enterprise. So, Quantum Leap, the show, I'm going to have to do some editing.
That's
It
okay.
was it oh, it was in 1989
Yeah,
and 30 years have passed since Dr. Sam Beckett. Okay, we need to start this again, but I'll just give you the little bit. Restarted the Quantum Leap project with a new team trying to recreate an accelerator to retrieve Beckett from the past. It was just called Quantum Leap.
accelerator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let
Okay.
me
Like where this is going.
let,
Accelerator.
let's see if we can find Quantum because there's been a new one, but I want to find out IMDb. We're just recording. I'm going to just, fix all this.
That's fine.
So Dr. Sam Beckett finds himself trapped in time and travels through different periods of the past to help alter different people's futures for the better. Scott Bakula was the
Mhm.
guy who played Dr. Beckett. Okay.
Okay,
Do you
got
want
it.
me to start
Let's
this
go.
again?
Nope, I do not. Well,
No,
listen,
no, no,
I
no.
will.
It'll be
Oh,
easier for me to edit. Okay.
okay, that's fine. Yeah, you go
Okay.
then.
Okay. So, um, welcome to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. I'm Sharon, your friendly skeptic, and I am with Jen, who's your friendly believer. And today we're going to talk about quantum leaping. Now, I have to say, Jen, when I think of quantum leaping, I think of that old show in the late 1980s with Scott Bakula called Quantum Leap, where he goes back and forth into the past and sort of changes the future a bit. How is that different from quantum leaping in your perspective?
Ding, 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 ding. It's exactly the same thing. And I will take the
No.
title, thank you very much, as Queen Quantum Leaper. Um, but I will say I'm getting better and better and better at it now because I really understand it now. And so I would hope my aim is I hope to help you guys understand what quantum leaping is and how available it is to you in everything you want in your life. So,
Okay, we got to start with what the heck is quantum leaping?
okay, so we're diving into this idea of quantum leaping, and we're going to break this down. But basically, what it is we've talked about this for months. It is the same thing that Neville Goddard talks about. Everybody's writing their version of it. I'm going to write my version of it in my book. It's this idea that the thing that you want so badly, whether it's a new career or a new love, or a baby, or to get out of debt, or to win the lottery, or millions, or to have a relationship work out, but whatever it is, the version of you who there is a version of you that already has this thing you want, and it is on your timeline, right? So nobody can see what I'm doing right now, but I'm looking at my arm like it's a timeline. And if I'm here at my fingertip and the thing I want is at my elbow, the whole idea is, do I have to wait 20 years to get to my elbow? No, you do not. And so the whole idea here is the quantum leap is the acceleration process that you have control over to get you there faster. Okay. So it already exists energetically. It already exists. You wouldn't want it. It wouldn't even be in your mind or your heart if you didn't
Okay.
already have it energetically on your timeline. So you don't have to crawl there. You can shift into the frequency of having that thing. I'm pointing to my elbow right now. Um, and then you align your actions and you can do that right now.
Okay, I can almost hear listeners rolling their eyes because already exists energetically sounds like a really great Instagram caption. But in real life, people are like, I've got rent due on Friday. Where's my quantum leap?
So here's the key. It's not about skipping reality because your rent is due, but it's about shifting your internal state first. And the actions you take, the literal actions you take, will carry you towards that thing either faster or slower. The opportunities you notice will change. So here's how I'm going to explain it. And Esther Hicks, again, I'm going to talk about Esther Hicks. She does a really good job of talking about the minute you want something, let's call it rent. Okay. The minute you say I need, or I would like rent, it's like a speech bubble. It's like this bubble, and you guys can't see me, but it's floating above your head. Esther would say it's in the vortex. It already exists. The rent money is right here. It already exists. Okay.
Okay.
You have a choice. You can either worry about it, wonder where it is, in other words, live in lack, or you can decide, and that's going to push it further and further and further away because the universe says she doesn't think she has it. So I'm going to show her that she doesn't have it. But
Okay.
if I believe, here's where quantum leaping happens. It starts in the mind, right? If I believe that anything can happen to me today, there are a myriad of possibilities that could happen to me today that will enable me to be able to make that deadline. It's just a moment away. It's just an opportunity away. It's just a thought bubble away. It's coming. It's here. I'll make it. No problem. The provider of all things wants good things for me. If I start to think that way, it's going to come closer and closer and closer. And you won't believe the ways it can drop into your lap. Somebody
Okay.
owed you money you forgot about, right? Or you win the lottery. That one's pretty unlikely because you have so much resistance around that. But let me give you another example, if I may.
Yeah. What I mean, I think you give some really good concrete examples. So let's do a quantum leap that isn't like kind of woo woo words, but something that has actually been experienced.
Okay, let's talk about this podcast.
Okay. But we've already done that, Jen.
I know we have, but it is always relevant. Let's talk about this podcast. When
Okay.
I, in my head, wanted a podcast, it was in the broadcast. I wanted it again. We talked about this. I didn't know what it was going to, topic was going to be. I didn't know what it was going to look like. And then you came to me about a year ago and said, I think we should do a podcast. And I think it should be about this topic. And I just happen to have spent my entire life devoted to this topic. But you brought it to me.
Right.
I held the vision of wanting the podcast. You brought it to me. I didn't even know that was coming, right? It came out of nowhere. But then you and I started showing up. Here's the action. You and I started showing up like we knew what we were doing. We didn't have an audience. We didn't have a download. We just started podcasting. And how many are we into today, Sharon?
505.
505 downloads. How many podcasts have we done?
Ooh, I think we're at
26?
24, 25. Yeah.
Right. We have done a half a year's worth of podcasts. We were at 505. If we had sat back last September and said, well, I wonder how this is going to happen. I don't know what I'm doing. You don't know what you're doing. But you know what? We started doing the things that big podcasters do. And that's the point. We've quantum leaped in a year from nothing to something.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So just take a little breather here, Jen, for a second. I thought you were going to go into the story about the apple orchard and
Oh,
stuff
you
like
want me
that.
to talk about that? Okay, totally.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that too.
Okay, so let me do an intro again for that so we can do it.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't you give me something concrete, like something that's a quantum leap that isn't just woo woo words, like something we can actually wrap our heads around?
Okay. So on Sunday, I was with a group of girlfriends. We decided we were going to e-bike to a winery. It was a big e-bike, 20 kilometers there, 20 kilometers back, uphill. I was worried about it. So at the last minute, I backed out of the biking part of it and I said, I'll meet you there with my pickup truck. Okay. Well, suffice it to say, my gut was on point because I ended up rescuing 3 of 6 bikers that day with my pickup truck. If I had biked with them, I couldn't have done that. But here's the point: one of the bikers who ended up ditching her bike and coming back with me from the winery said to me, "Do you think we could stop off and pick some apples in the apple orchard?" And I was like, "Sure." I didn't really want to, but I thought, whatever. Well, do you know, neither one of us talked about it on the way home, and the route that we ended up going on the way home, there wasn't an apple orchard in sight. Okay? No
Yep.
apple orchards. So we get back home, neither one of us says anything about it. She's forgotten about it. I've forgotten about it. We have another SOS call from another biker. "Could you come and pick me up?" She says. "I'm stuck at the corner of Concession Road 24 and 4 up in Collingwood." I'm like, "Sure." So the two of us get back in the truck. We go to pick her up. Guess what just happens to be as side road 24 and 4?
Tell me.
An apple orchard. Not just an apple orchard, but a beautiful, huge apple orchard with a self manned apple orchard little tiny store where all the apples were picked for us. They were in plastic bags with a price tag on it. All we had to do is tap our card and walk away with fresh apples. That's a quantum leap. We
Okay.
didn't even try to go there. We knew we had it in our mind. We didn't get attached to it. We let the story unfold. But guess what we got led to?
It sounds a little bit to me like the whole idea around sliding doors. Like you're walking along in life and all of a sudden this door opens and you make a choice to go through it or not go through it. And then those choices seem to go from one sliding door to another sliding door. And you couldn't predict those doors on your path.
No, what I don't like about that analogy is that sometimes, like, did you miss the subway? In that movie, Gwyneth Paltrow, she misses her subway. The doors close right in front of her. And the guy that she inevitably meets was on that subway car. And she has to go through a whole sad story. She ends up meeting him in the end. What I'm suggesting is, and it still worked out. So
Right.
maybe this is in line. My point is, if you know in your head that you want the love of your life, somehow you won't miss those doors. They will
Okay.
just open. The opportunities will show up. And that's what ended up happening in that. It's a great movie, by the way. I love that movie. It is about everything you wanting in your life coming true in the funniest and the most odd of ways.
I think it's kind of funny oftentimes when you talk to people about how they met the love of their life, for example, that there seems to often be this really weird confluence of events that happens that seem to have been difficulties overcome, or you wouldn't believe this, etc., etc. Or, uh, I mean, I know when I met my partner, the stuff that we realized was that we were both kids traveling as unaccompanied minors, uh, me from Canada to Malta through Heathrow, him from South Africa to Toronto through Heathrow, and looking at the timelines and going, we were in that place at the same time, but we never met. And you start to hear those types of stories. Is there elements of that in terms of quantum leaping as well?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, my love story is very, very much a quantum leap. I had been single for 5 years after divorce. I had done all the things everyone that's single does, online dated, blah, blah, blah. And I had written a list. That's the important part. I'd written a list of all the things I wanted in a partner and I'd put it away. And when I finally had given up trying to figure this out on my own, like doing the online dating is me actively trying to find the person, when I had finally given that up and said, you know what? I'm good. I love my life. I love my home. I don't need anybody to complete it. Almost the day I had made that mental shift was the day I got a call from my girlfriend saying, I got someone I think you should meet.
Right,
And we can talk about that at length at some point, but he had a stroke. It didn't happen. It was COVID. It almost didn't happen, but she wouldn't let up. And when we finally met, we've been together 5 years now. Like he was the guy, right?
right,
And so back to your point, she had been friends with him for 13 years and I had
right.
never met him. And she's a good friend of mine. Like,
Wow.
what?
She's just a slow good friend of yours because she didn't introduce you
Totally.
sooner.
Totally. But interesting point. I'm glad you brought that up. Like, if you think about what source energy, God, inner being, spirit is doing to give you everything you want, like he was saying to me, Jen, you got to break up with that guy. And he was in a 4 year relationship. And it's like they had to go through their process to get to being single. And I had to go through my process. And like God's up there with like puppeteer strings going, oh, I got to make this and I got to shift that. And then she's going to go there. Do you remember those games when we were little? They
Yeah,
were like, you got them in a stocking and they were a little square and they had like 9 tiles in them, but one tile was missing, and
yep.
you had to move the tiles to get the picture to form in the end. And how many of us, we never did it. But that's what God's doing all the time, shifting the tiles to give you what you want.
So, what I'm hearing is not just sort of the manifestation and making it and waiting for it to happen, but also the preparation work that needs to occur in order for those quantum leaps to happen as well.
Yeah, but we can help those preparation steps. So quantum leaping would be one day I'm desperate, single, dying, thinking I'm never going to find the love of my life. The next day, I've decided to shift my perspective and go, you know what? I'm going to go buy some new sheets for myself today because that guy's coming. And if he's going to have a sleepover with me, if you're a consenting adult over 18, if he's going to have a sleepover with me, I want to have nice, fresh sheets. So I'm going to go to the Bay, which doesn't exist anymore, too badly, in Canada. They had the best sheets. I'm going to go buy some awesome Egyptian cotton sheets and I'm going to freshen up my bed because that guy's coming. And
Right.
guess what happens? You meet someone, you need the sheets.
Okay, so people who are taking action and they're networking and they're applying and they're hustling and it's still not working. So are you saying that it's because they didn't believe enough? Because that sounds a little bit like blame.
Yeah, I'm not, no, there's no blame here, right? There's no blame. What is it people say? No judgment. This is judgment free. It's about alignment. So if you're taking desperate action, like I've got to change my bed, that desperate action is I've got to go on that date and I'm sweating and I didn't really want to go on it. And I've got to get on Tinder because that's what they said I had to do. If the hustle grind is there,
Yep.
that is just going to push it away because there's a need of desperation, which again means lack. If, however, though, you are taking aligned action, like you are feeling, instead of pumping out 1,000 resumes to nobody and no one, but you felt like you did something because you sent out 1,000 versus really tuning in and going, you know what? I'm really good at sales. I could sell the leg off of a chair. I'm going to start looking for sales opportunities and I'm going to start honing in on the ones that are with organizations that I can get behind. And then when they show up sending the resume, then that's aligned action. You're much more likely to land that job than by doing what I call praying and spraying, which is 1,000 resumes or 1,000 cold calls. Doesn't matter,
Right.
everywhere.
So it's the difference between frantic hustle versus grounded, inspired action.
Totally. 100%.
Okay.
One is calm, one is calm, one is confident, one uh is expectant,
Okay.
and one is reaching and desperate and lonely and worried. And again, you got to decide who does that person want to hang out with?
Right.
Confident and knowing, or
A-
desperate and worried?
And the quantum leap is really just a way of saying change how you see yourself, act from that identity, and the results would shift faster than you expect it to.
Yeah. Anyone that's listening, your desire is already in the vortex, as Esther would say, or I like to think of it as it's out there.
Right.
You have put it into the ether, and is the ether eventually creates things. So once you put that idea out there, the spark is out there, the idea is out there, and you are already broadcasting. The leap is deciding to tune in and live from that now. So, for example, again, back to podcasting, if I want to be a famous podcaster, when I podcast, I imagine millions of listeners.
Well, that's fantastic. So I might not be able to promise that I'll leap, but I'll certainly dip a toe in.
That's a start.
Yeah.
So, thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. Quantum leaping is a big topic. I think we're going to go, we're going to touch on it forever in this podcast. But if the conversation gave you a spark, share it with a friend, a believer, or a skeptic. We'll take those around here too, because we want to convert you. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much for listening to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. And again, thanks to Jennifer for this quantum leaping that we've experienced today and those millions of listeners who are out there. Bye for now. Okay. Thanks for tuning in to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. If you enjoyed today's conversation, share it with a friend, believer or skeptic. And don't forget to leave us a review so others can join in the debate. Plus, check out Jennifer's TikTok account, Manifestation RX, where she writes daily prescriptions for manifesting your dreams. Think practical tips with a dash of magic. We love hearing your questions and stories, so tell us what you're manifesting or questioning this week. Until next time, keep an open mind and maybe manifest a little magic.